Hey guys, this is Marco Robinson, the co-writer, co-producer, investor, creator of Legacy of Lies, the movie, now in on Amazon Prime, on Sky Movies, on iTunes, on all streaming channels such as Rakuten, etc. Will be on Netflix and was in cinemas in the middle of the pandemic. We were the only film pretty much to get a release or a premiere in London in September last year. That was completely sold out. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through the journey of me making that film, my first film, to getting nearly 30 Best Film Awards for Best Director, Best Writing, Best Stunt, Best Acting, Best Script, Best Action Movie, and of course Best Feature Film, which is the holy grail of awards. Now, when I started in films, I was probably, you could say, about 5 years old, because my journey into film was really from my imagination. It wasn't about I wanted to be an actor at an early age. It was about I wanted to be in a film or in films to escape the reality of my life, which was like another film, because my story was that when I was 2 years old, my mum left my dad. She was 23 years old. He was a gambling addict, spent all the money. She had no choice but other than to leave him. She went to move to the north of England with me. I was only 2. She went to live with her mum and a stepfather, but at the doorstep, the stepfather said it's either me or them, because I didn't know them, but my mum had been sexually abused by him since she was about 4 years old. So it was really terrifying for her to go back to that kind of environment. And in fact, the reason he said that is because he didn't want them to come back and reveal the truth, or us to come back, sorry. So we slept in the park. It was very cold. It was snowing. It was winter time, this time of year, in the north of England. We slept there a while. We nearly died. We got taken in by a friend of a friend, and we were on and off in kind of homeless situations in the park, living in people's cars and people's houses, couch surfing, eventually until she met my stepfather when I was about 8, and seemed a really, really nice guy. But really, he was kind of a split personality. He was like really nice on the outside, but inside the house, he would change personality if he didn't get his own way. There was a lot of violence there, a lot of arguments, physical violence, domestic abuse. And as a child, that was very traumatic for me to be a witness to that, because I didn't have the resources or the emotions to cope with that very volatile environment that I was going through. So a lot of the time, my coping mechanisms were to go under the bed and just cry my eyes out until the shouting went down, and play Lego. That was my favourite toy, because I used to create things out of that. And when I wasn't doing that, I was in my imagination, basically being a secret agent, running across buildings with a gun and, being the hero in a film, because films were my only really, I would say, escape or sanctuary that I could really relate to, because I wanted to escape my reality. So really that vision when I was very young stayed with me for a very long time, stayed with me years and years and years. And I always wanted to be in a film and make film, but I never got round to doing it. I always was too busy to do it. I was a very successful salesperson. I was recruited to go to Malaysia in 1997 to run a public company, which I turned around from $1 million to $1 billion in 3 years. But when I was 31, three things happened to me. I had a heart attack, which I recovered from. I found out my wife was having an affair with my best friend, which was, I would say, more painful than the heart attack, and I lost most of my money on the stock market. So I decided then, in that pivotal moment, to say, right, you know what, I don't really want to have a boss again. And I decided that I was in charge of my own destiny. I could control the future, and I started to do stuff on my own. I consulted to companies, I did motivational seminars, I created a few businesses, including a restaurant, a travel business, a few other things, and got into property. Then in 2017, Channel 4 in the UK heard about my story of being homeless in the past and my struggles in life and turning everything around. And they asked me, would I like to go on a TV show, my own TV show called Get a House for Free, and give a house away, pay the mortgage off for a homeless family that was struggling to address the social housing problem in the UK. But of course, that's endemic in the world right now, isn't it? So I said, I'd love to do that. And you'd be very surprised. They didn't ask me first. They asked a lot of people first with a lot more money than me, and they all turned it down. And I said I would love to do that TV show. And I made the TV show. It was a huge success. It went to 68 countries. And I was able to give 3 houses away to 3 families who didn't have a home before. And I was able to start a charity called Freedom X, where I take someone off the street, rehabilitate them, get them in a new job or career, and basically give them a new life. And I've been doing that now for the past 3 years. We have our own hostel in Barcelona. We've taken about 25 people off the streets in the last 6 months, even during COVID. So what I'm saying is, when there's a vision, when there's a belief system, things have a purpose. But then I still hadn't done my film. But in the background, I was working on something. So in about 2014, I met this lady on Facebook. I'd been chatting to them for about 5 years. We got a script together. It was called Tangerine Dream. We got the script together. I gave her 25 grand. She ran away with the money and never saw that money again. So I was like, okay, this is how film works. Now, because I wasn't very experienced in the business of film, or how to put a film together, I guess that was a lesson. But what I did do on that journey with that person is I met a fellow actor called Victor Sole from Barcelona. I did some show reels with him, made a great show reel after I met him, and he introduced me to Adrian Bol, who was the writer and director of A Legacy of Lies. And he took me over to Holland to meet him, and we got on really well. And Adrian's accomplished as a director, music videos, corporate videos, small films, award-winning already. He loved his work. And so we decided to collaborate. And we got a script together, and it wasn't going to be called Legacy of Lies originally. It was actually called Truth 99. And it was based on a true story of how the Russians bombed a building in Kiev and killed 300 families. Because Adrian's wife was Ukrainian, so that was the story behind that. So we all got behind the script. It was a great script. It was very political, and I didn't realise that until I got down the road of promoting that script and that kind of movie on social media, especially my social media. So we started getting the script together. We started getting some headway in terms of attracting people to the film. And then one day, Adrian called me and said, "Marco, are you sitting down?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Just tell me you're sitting down." I said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down." He said to me, "You are on Russian national news TV on every channel. It's gone over the whole country of Russia. Your social media is on there, your Instagram's on there, your Facebook's on there." I said, "What?" I couldn't understand what the hell was going on right now. I couldn't digest it. And he kept repeating it. I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, how do you know?" I said, "Because I've seen it. My friends shared it with me, and he sent me the video, and sure enough, all my face was all over social media, and the Russians were saying about me, this guy is crazy for making a film about Putin and the Russians bombing Ukraine, he's going to die," right? So when I had that translated, it was scary. That was scary. And my thinking was, I still wanted to make this film, but was it worth the cost? And after speaking to my family, my children said, "Don't make the film, don't make the film." So basically, we threw the film in the bin. We waited 6 months, and we came up with a fictional script, kind of loosely based on that, and we called it Legacy of Lies. Now, by this time, this is basically my 3rd attempt to get something going. But my vision told me that I didn't want to do a small project. I wanted something big to start with. I was thinking of my age as well as that. But everything I've done in life has always been big. It's always been I've always wanted to reach to the top of what I've done, and I've always done that in my life. So I had a little bit of money left. So I spent £12,000 on the trailer to make the first Legacy of Lies trailer. I was in the trailer. We did a lot of organic shooting with me, and we copied or brought in what we call B-roll, or clips from other films, and spliced it in there. We made that trailer. We sent it off to the Ukraine Film Foundation, and we won $1 million in grant money for equipment, cash, location, tax relief, all that kind of stuff. Now, the only thing was, with that $1 million, there was a catch. And the catch is we had to attract an A-list actor that would attach himself or herself to the film. So the Ukrainian Film Foundation believed that their money was less at risk because they'd have a big name promoting that film with influence. And I do have to tell you, this is a huge part of making your film really successful. So I said, okay, I'll take a back seat, I'll be a supporting actor, let's get someone big. So we approached Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all the huge big names, and they were all like $10, $15 million. So we couldn't reach that kind of budget. So we went to the less known actors and we found that they were also busy for like the next 3 to 5 years. And literally 2 weeks before the fund was going to expire, we found Scott Adkins, who's now probably the most well-known martial arts action actor now in the world, is at the top of his game. So he signed on, but we had to find £100,000, put it in escrow, because that's the way it works. And in the escrow, what happens is we can't touch the money, but the actor can't touch the money until we start filming. So we put the 100,000 in, we got Scott to sign on the film, and then we found some local investors in the Ukraine to invest another $1 million, and then we could start shooting the film, and we started shooting it in May in 2019. Now, halfway through shooting that film, we had 168 crew. It was a huge operation, but halfway through shooting that film, we ran out of money. Literally, we ran out of money. The costs were kind of escalating too much. And so we had a decision to make. We said, right, we'll either stop shooting or we find some more funds. So I said to me, there's no freaking way that I'm stopping shooting this film. So we managed to find a friend of a friend that had a yacht in Cannes. We flew to Cannes Film Festival. We made a final trailer of the film with the footage that we'd already made. We played it on the boat and we sold 6 geographical regions of the world for $300,000 each for Legacy of Lies to distributors, which meant we raised another $1.8 million and we were able to finish shooting that film, which was amazing. And that just goes to show you that you can have the best film, you can have the best actors, you can have a budget, but if you don't have the vision and absolute belief that you can finish shooting that film and you can deliver an amazing product, don't even get out of bed, because you're up against so much competition and you've got to deliver something absolutely amazing. You've got to deliver a film so good that people can't stop talking about it. And the vision in my head was, I want people to keep talking about my film forever and ever and ever. So we made the film, and of course then the virus came in 2020, so we couldn't release it like we wanted to in the cinemas. And now, I personally had signed 10,000 cinemas to release Legacy of Lies. All contracts signed, all done, and we just couldn't put it in the theatres because they closed all the theatres. They closed all the cinemas. So we had to go on to streaming straight away to Amazon Prime in the States on July 28th. But what I did is I managed to get a London premiere in a huge theatre in 2 cinemas, which was fully sold out, and I got Legacy of Lies in there. We interviewed the cast, we got the cast there, it was amazing. And now I've got the rights to that film for the rest of my life. So I can release that film in cinemas in different regions in the world where it's not been on streaming yet. So it's like a premiere. So this video is really introducing to my story of how I got into film and why I will never ever do anything else, because I absolutely fucking love this. It's the best thing I've ever done, because my favourite thing is being on a film set. It's the most magical thing that you can imagine, because everything else doesn't matter. Once you're on that film set, nothing else matters apart from you, the film, and getting it made and producing your best work. It's an amazing experience. I'm sure you have had the experience, if you're watching this video, about your first experience on a film set. What's it like to work with the other actors, especially in action films? There's so much going on. I mean, you know, I had a Glock handgun most of the time. I was shooting this gun, I was chasing Scott, he was chasing me, we were fighting. It was just incredible. And it's you know, if you ask me, was it worth all the pain and the cost? Yes, it was worth all of that. Because the end result was we made a fantastic film. We're now on our 26th film award, and everybody can't stop talking about it. And also, when they find out my story of making that film, they can't believe what I went through. And one thing I forgot to mention is that when I was on Russian TV, and it all calmed down, I basically forgot about it, and I was single at the time. And this very beautiful Russian lady was talking to me for about a year on Instagram, and one day she said, "Can I come and see you?" And I was in Malaysia. I said, "Yeah, come and stay with me." So she came over, she stayed with me. We got, close and stuff like that. And then one day, out of the blue, she said, "I don't think you should make that film." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I don't think you should make that film." I said, "Why?" She says, "Because I've not been completely honest with you. Actually, I'm not really who I said I was. I work for Russian FSB. You've been under surveillance for the last year. Putin is my cousin and I sell weapons and my bestseller is cyanide, and you're in great danger if you make that film. You could lose your life. I'll be very honest with you." I didn't believe what she was saying to me at first. I'm going, what the fucking hell has just happened, right? But at the time of my life, at the point in my life, I thought, you know what? If you're going to kill me, just kill me. I don't really care. And I said that to her. I said, "You want to kill me? Go and kill me, okay?" But we realised that we needed to change the film, so we changed it into Legacy of Lies. And that Russian woman actually came to Kiev when we were filming and telephoned my hotel room and said, "Can you come and see me, please? And let's sit in the lobby of your hotel." She didn't know, but obviously I was being followed and surveillance, being followed still, and I was under surveillance still, put it that way. And she said, "I've just come to see you to make sure you're not making the same film that we talked about, and I'm going to come to the set and see what's going on." So that really gave that film a hell of an edge, because the stakes got higher in case we kind of crossed over lines to, expose people or, said the wrong things and that kind of stuff. But we got through that, and that was the most amazing experience of my life. It took, from start to finish, it took 6.5 years to make that film. But now I have the blueprint of the vision, the story, the script, the locations, the characters, the actors, very importantly, fundraising, and getting that movie into cinemas, getting it onto streaming such as Film Hub, which is an aggregator, and other aggregators, because they can get you onto Netflix and Amazon Prime about 10 times quicker than doing it on your own. And a lot of people don't understand the kind of money that you can make on streaming. It's not what you think it is. For example, on Amazon Prime, you make 1 cent per hour that your film is played, okay? Other streamers give you more money, that kind of thing, but you really have to get your platform, get your film into different streamings, but really get a cinema release to make the big, big bucks. So every cinema ticket that people buy from you, you're going to get about 10% of that money if you have rights to that film. So if someone pays $10 for a ticket, you're going to get $1. Now, if you have a movie that plays 3 times a day in one cinema with 200 people in it, right, that's going to be $600. 200 times 1, $600 per day. And if there's 1,000 cinemas doing that a day, that's $600,000 a day net profit. If there's 10,000, that's $6 million a day net profit. So now you probably get to see why, if you do a really good job, you can make an amazing film, and you can really get to the audience and get a reputation. What I wanted to do was make such a good film that I had a reputation, that I could go into places and people would know who I was, because of what I went through to make that film. Because the journey or the story behind making that film is actually more interesting than actually the film itself. So there's going to be a film about making that film. But I want you to know that everybody watching this video is that I'm going to help you bring your film to life. I'm going to help you with your script and your story. The story is the most important part of your film. So let's just put that down there, and let's make sure that the camera is still on. And we're still doing this? Yes, we are still recording. So the story is the most important part of the film that you're going to go into making, that you're going to sacrifice your time to make, that you're going to commit to. Because trust me, as a filmmaker, you will know, as an actor, you will know, rejection is absolutely 90% of the film industry. It's a feast or famine industry, which means when you've got a great film, you will go far. If you've not got it anywhere into distribution or streaming or cinemas, you'll be invisible for years and years. And I know a lot of filmmakers that make short film. I say to them, what are you doing this year? Oh, I'm going to make a couple of short films. And they end up making those short films every year and not getting anywhere at all. And they wonder why they've not made it. They've not made it because they're focusing on the wrong content. They're focusing on the wrong creative content. They're not focusing on what's going to make a fantastic film, what's going to be a great story. They're saying to themselves, oh, I'll just make a little film and maybe I'll get noticed. Doesn't work like that, guys. It doesn't fucking work like that. You have to make great products from day one. And if you keep doing short films, you're going to give up because you're not getting anywhere. It's just like a hobby. When I do anything, it's with a massive passion to do it. But the most important thing is your story. You have to have that story. And that story is a tale of toil and triumph. Really, every story that is a good film is a story of each character having a character arc of toil, triumph, toil, triumph. There is a victim, there is a hero, there is a villain. These are only the three roles that people play in real life, let alone films. But this translates to film. Remember the old cops and robbers? It's the same thing, guys, right? So you've got to come up with a story that has characters that can play those roles very, very well and own those roles. So when you are casting a film, that is the most critical thing. And I'm sure you've watched movies where it's been so well cast, you go, wow, that person was made for that role. And you can watch another film going, wow, what are they doing that part? So you have to absolutely get this story right. You have to orate this story. That means you've got to pitch it to investors. You've got to pitch it to production companies. You've got to pitch it to distributors. You've got to pitch it to people that want to be in the film or not be in the film. You've got to repeat this story, right, and get a treatment on it. That means you have got to send this script to a script doctor. You've got to get other people's opinion. But don't just get anyone's opinion. You get people that have been in the industry that have made or finished or edited or worked on fantastic scripts. Don't send it to someone who doesn't know or just make short films. You're wasting your time. You have to have a script and give a treatment or an outline to it which basically jumps off the page. Because if someone reads that treatment, one page you go, all right, and they don't ask you a question, your script is basically shit. And that's going to be the audience reaction when they watch the film. So what I'm saying to you is, what's the point of writing a script and making a trailer and making a film if the script is really shit? Because if the script is absolutely brilliant and it jumps off the page, it's going to be a pleasure to film it and shoot it. Actors are going to want to be in the film. They're going to have a passion and excitement to do this and to get it right. And the crew is going to be extra excited to turn out a product that's going to work. So the story is the most important part of a successful movie. If you've got a good story, just go back and write a good story and get help doing it. I help you when you join my Film Star Success course, Filmmaker Success course. I get your movie into cinemas and stream it. I guarantee it. Satisfaction guaranteed if we come up with a good story. And I know the best people, the scriptwriters in the industry, to get that story looked at. Tweet. Give you an example. The best watched TV series in 2020 on Netflix was The Queen's Gambit. That was, I think it was rewritten 9 times, and it took about 34 years to get to the screen. No one believed in it. But what turned out was amazing, right? Now, it doesn't have to take you 34 years. It can take you less than a year if you follow my blueprint. So the story is the most important part, because what you've got to do, the why in story stands for yes. You've got to get a yes from everyone who's a stakeholder in that movie. From you, the creator of it, from the producer, from the actors, even from a beta test audience, okay? And the biggest mistake people make is they start making the film when they've done the script without getting a script revision, without getting a script professional. They go and make the film, and the film turns out average and shit. What you've got to do is make a fantastic story, write a fantastic script. Once you've done that and all parties agree this is amazing, from professionals in the industry, then you can go to the next stage. And the next stage, the next stage of getting your film to a level of success which is going to be in cinemas and streaming is this. And that means you have to brand that film. And you brand it by doing a trailer. You've got to make a fantastic trailer for that film. Now, when I made Legacy of Lies, I made the first trailer where the budget was really low. I spent £12,000, but I won $1 million because I made an outstanding trailer. And I've sent some of you that trailer, and you said to me, "Oh my God," exactly. Because the story and the suspense of the trailer made you want to see the rest of the film. And when we showed that investors, I was showing that trailer to investors, and the investors were going, "Fucking hell, I would love to invest in that film." Can you see what I'm saying here? That's the difference between success and failure. It's a great script, but then a fantastic executed trailer. And it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money to do that. But the trailer is the advertisement for the whole film. It's like an advert. It's a brand for the whole film, right? And in that brand, it's got to be believable. It has to be believable, number one. The R is it has to get you, that means you have to understand it. You've got to have rapport with the audience. They've got to be in that film. The next is authority. That trailer, that film has to have a kind of authority about it. So if you're making a science fiction film or with technical things in it, it has to appear that what they're saying on the screen is believable, and they have a look at Star Trek. Look at the amount of techno babble that goes on. They have an authority about that series or that genre because they know exactly how to do that and work it into the script. The next thing is you have to have a niche. This is really important for your film. So you might have a horror film that's about zombies. That is not a niche. A horror film about zombies that wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the supermarket and buy a loaf of bread, and then when they've opened the loaf of bread, when they get home, they turn into a zombie, and then they terrorize the apartment block, and then when the bread's finished, they go back to being normal. That's a niche, okay? That's just off the top of my head. It doesn't say it's real, but I'm saying you have to have a niche. You can't just make an action film. What is it about that film which is, what kind of action? Is it kind of fighting? Is it street fighting? Is it martial arts? Is it cage fighting? Is it MMA? Specifically, what kind of fighting it is. When you have a niche, then you can go to a target market that want to see your film. And this comes down to also what actors are going to fill that niche that have their own audience. So, for example, Scott Adkins has an amazing fan base of martial arts fans that watch every one of his films religiously because he's doing it, because he's a professional fighter and his fights are spectacular. So people are always waiting for the next fight. This is the secret of making a good film, is knowing who your audience is before you make it. And the last thing about brand is you have to create demand for that film by giving it a fantastic name, by making a fantastic trailer, and you have to decode what the audience really wants, right? So this is the second thing about being successful in film. The rest of the success of filmmaking is really strategic. And one of the things that happens when you join me in my film course is we really strategize every single thing we can do before we make that film. Can we get funds in before we make that film? Because then we can make a better film. Can we collaborate and team up with other production houses to make that film? Can we advertise that film in certain ways to the right audience to get more interest in it? So that means that once we get more interest in the film, it's less risk for investors. I'll give you an example. Ryan Reynolds, the film Deadpool, with Ryan Reynolds. He couldn't get that released by the studio. It was sitting on the shelf of the studio for 8 years. 8 years. And then what he did, he went to his fans, because he got millions of fans, said, listen, I've got this concept called Deadpool, where I play a kind of a failed superhero, but it's kind of a dark side to him. It's like an X-rated version of X-Men. His fans went nuts. And because of his fans, the studio made the film. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of elements here. It's just knowing what the blueprint is. I know the blueprint. People join me because I have the blueprint. They also join me because they love working with me, because I always get the job done. I'm interested in them. I want to work with them. I will work with you. I will get the production, award-winning filmmakers, award-winning DOPs, everything to make that trailer fantastic for you, even if you're an actor, even if you're a filmmaker, director yourself, or a writer. It's all about working really hard to make the end product go, oh my God. And that's what happened when people saw my trailer. They went, oh my God, that's amazing. And that's the vision you've got to have in your head before you start writing a script, before you start thinking about what kind of film you're going to do. What's the audience, what reaction do you want? Oh my God. Like people scared, oh my God, that's so scary. That's great for a horror film. I couldn't watch it, it's so scary. Great for a horror film. Action film, oh my God, that's amazing. That's the kind of reaction you want. Drama, oh my God, I cried all the way through. Fantastic. The trailer even made me cry, I want to see. That's what hooks people. What's going to hook people into seeing the rest of the film. So this is Marco, sharing a fantastic video today, really my story into film, and how really to get that film from the beginning arc into the cinema on the big screen and on streaming where everybody can see it. And that's when you know you've made it. So join me where the air is crisp, because we can make an awesome film together. Thank you.